Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about all the books that I read in July. In the month of July, I read 12 books. I really wanted to make it 13 because I believe I've already read 12 books in the month of October last year, and I wanted to surpass that. I think it was 12, but 12 is not bad. I'm striving for higher numbers each month, though. I read 6 physical books, 2 ebooks, and 4 audiobooks. I didn't read any classics, nonfiction, or rereads. And as far as 5-star ratings, I forgot to look that up. I gave 4 books 5 stars. I didn't DNF any of these books. One of them was a soft DNF. Actually, no, 2 of them were a soft DNF, but I came back to them this month. And then we'll do the rewrite, reread, burn later, and I'll talk about my favorite book. But let's get into the books that I read in July. The first one being Below by Lauren Hightower. I gave this book 4 stars. This was a fun, very fast-paced horror. It's fever dreamish. Our protagonist is not very reliable throughout the book. We don't really know what's real and what's happening in her mind, and that made it really creepy. Thinking of one scene, I was like, oh my goodness, like I gasped when I was like, oh my gosh, wait a second. If I look over to the left, it's because my notes are over here. The message in this book, our protagonist finds her inner strength by this horrible event that takes place. Like, this book is like one bad thing that happened, and she learns to speak her truth, to not let people treat her poorly, and that she's stronger than she once believed, or that she previously believed. Let me read the back so you know what this is about. While driving through the mountains of West Virginia during a late-night snowstorm, a recently divorced woman experiences bizarre electrical problems, leaving her with little choice but to place her trust with a charismatic truck driver. But when an unexpected creature with haunting red eyes gets between them, she is forced to make one of the toughest decisions of her life. Will she abandon the stranger who kept her safe, or will she climb down below, where reality has shape-shifted into a living nightmare? It was a really good, quick horror. I liked it a lot, and the cover got me. Look at that. It's so cool. I love the colors and the red eyes. So this was the first book that I read. I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it a lot. I read quite a bit of Jennifer L. Armentrout this month. I just realized that. I keep giving her second chances. I read The Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. Now, I didn't give the first book a very good review. I think I gave it, I'm going to lower the camera just a tad. I might have given it 2 stars, 2 or 3. But recently I just kept thinking about it and wanted to know what happened. For some reason, I just was intrigued by the story and wanted to know what happened. So I read Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I gave it 2 stars. I know that people really love the second book. They're like, get through the first to get to the second, because the second one's so much better. No, in my opinion, the first one is still not a great book, but it's better than the second book. This book, it got icky. Like, this is romance fantasy, and this leans very heavy into the romance. But Jennifer L. Armentrout, I feel she just takes it a little too far in just different ways in her books, where I'm just like, nope, like, it's just a little much for me. And it just took a turn, and I was like, no. And I know that that's an unpopular opinion. People really liked this book, but this is very heavy into the romance, not as much adventure, which was my my complaint with the first book, but I think the first book was even better. It had more adventure, but I'm not going to read the third. Seeing where this is going, I'm not going to read the third. But I like the Craven. I like the shapeshifters. I just need more of that. Like, I feel like if you took the romance out of this book, it would be like this short or shorter. That's the second book that I read. The third book that I read, oh my God, was Hunted by Darcy Coates. I've wanted to read this for so long. And this is like summer read, summer horror. I'm getting too excited. While reading this book, I had to like stop and tell Tyler what was going on. And he probably still didn't know what was going on because I was so... what's the word? Such a spaz. But I would be like, oh my gosh, Tyler, this is what's happening right now. And he'd be okay. But I love Darcy Coates, but like I don't know how many Darcy Coates I've read, but I want to read, all of them. But the one that's in the snow, oh my gosh, Dead of Winter. I really didn't like that book. I guessed the plot twist. I felt that it was unbelievable, and I just didn't. I lost faith in Darcy Coates after reading Dead of Winter. I think that's what it's called, which a lot of people really liked. So I wanted to read Hunted because I heard that this is scarier than a lot of her books. This is gross. This is a lot grosser than a lot of her books that I've read so far. It's not haunted house. It's like body horror. I gave this book 5 stars. I didn't guess anything about this book. To the very end, I was still so surprised. Like, I didn't think that like all the things that happened in this book were actually going to happen. I was so surprised. I think I might just move my laptop to the other side. Hold on. So this is gross horror. If you don't like body horror, if you don't like oozing things, if you don't like bugs, don't read this, okay? I'm going to read the back so you know what the book is about. Her disappearance wasn't an accident. Her rescue will be a mistake. Yeah. 5 days after Aline Huntsberger went missing on a hike through the remote Ashlong Forest, her camera was discovered washed downriver, containing bizarre photos taken hours after her disappearance. But with no body and no additional clues, finding Aline in the dark and winding woods seems next to impossible. Chris wants to believe his sister is still alive. When the police search is abandoned, he and 4 of his friends vow to scour the mountain range until they find Aline and bring her home. But as a small group strays further from the trails and into the unsettling discoveries mount, they begin to realize they're not alone, and Aline's disappearance was no accident. But by then, it's already too late. If you like Darcy Coates, or if you haven't read Darcy Coates, and I think The Haunting of Ashburn House is the Darcy Coates I would recommend for a first Darcy Coates. But this is really, really good. This might be my favorite one. The Haunting of Ashburn House is really good, but so gross and good and so unpredictable, which is what her last book was lacking for me. And I want to continue to read Darcy Coates because this is Darcy Coates. Dead of Winter, I don't know who wrote that. The next book was a softy enough. I read Roses of May by Hutchison because I loved The Butterfly Garden. It's The Butterfly Garden or Butterfly Garden. I think it's The Butterfly Garden. Like, that book is top tier book, like one of my favorite books ever. I think about it so much. I really, really loved that book. And so this book is like the second book, kind of, in that it's like the event following the butterfly garden. It's like after that, but like a little while after that event. I hated this book. Like, I don't understand why the books had to be related. Like, there was no point in having these books related other than it being the same, like, detective. They kept bringing up, or like the butterflies that were in the garden were like a part of the story. I'm like, why are we like having this like really awesome story in this like awful story? I did not like our protagonist. I thought she was annoying, and some of her habits I found I just didn't really like. It was so slow. I was like, what is happening there? I feel like it was just all slow. The story wasn't good. Like I said, I didn't like our main character. The plot was not exciting at all. I was like, what is this book? And I didn't feel like it was the same author. That's what I felt like. The Butterfly Garden was like, whoa, this like super weird and creepy and gross, but like really cool story. And then this book was just like, do we even care? Like the villain or whatever was like not even interesting. Don't recommend. And I really did not like that the books were related. I feel like it like took away from the Butterfly Garden by like sprinkling in those characters in this book. I was like, why? We don't need them here. They're perfect in this book. Why are they connected? Sorry. But I have strong feelings about it. The next book was another DNF, which is Phantom by Helen Power. This book seemed cool. Like, the concept is cool. We have, I don't even think I talked about what The Roses of May was about. Doesn't matter. You don't need to read it. Phantom is about this woman. The concept is cool, so I'm going to like talk about it. Who sold her hand like on the black market for a lot of money because she makes terrible life choices. She has no money. She's desperate. We also don't like our protagonist. She's kind of a jerk. She's very much a jerk, and yeah, we really don't like her. But she starts feeling phantom limb in her hand, and it gets so bad she has to go on this like trial for this drug that can help with phantom limb. And it seemed cool. Like, she's trying to figure out like who has her hand and what are they doing with it, because the sensations she's getting in her hand are weird or deadly. So I don't know. I think the fact that I really didn't like our protagonist, and then just the story, I was just like, I just didn't like it. I don't know that the book is awful. The ending was kind of cool, but I just didn't like it. I didn't think it was great, but I think the concept was cool. I feel like it had potential to be a really cool read, and just didn't like where she went with it. But that was Phantom. I gave it 3 stars by Helen Power, and I always rate my books like right after reading them, and then I like to think about the rating. I know some people, they stick with their rating, they change it no matter what, because that's like your initial feeling. But I like to sit with a book for a long time and think, okay, if I'm really thinking this harshly about the book, or if I'm talking about it like this, then maybe it's not a 3. Like, maybe this book is a 2. Or other books have been like, no, that actually was a 5. So that's how I like to review my books, but I know not everyone does that. So I did finish those 2 last books in this month, but I did not get far in either of them. I'm talking like first chapter. The next 2 books. I vlogged me reading these books. This series needs the hype. This series is really cool. After reading the first, like, it grabbed me really fast. After reading the first, I bought both books, like the physical copy, because I read this digitally and audio. This one, I solely listened to it, but like, I see a reread and I cannot wait for book 3. So I'm gonna read the back of these to you, but they were both 5 stars. I got the first one on like Stuff Your Kindle Day, I think, or it was on sale, but I was like, oh, that sounds cool, and the cover's cool. These are new releases, and the next one comes out this year or early next year, I think. So these are new, but they're just not getting hype like they deserve. So I'm going to read the synopsis for the first one. A cursed kingdom, a fire singer seeking vengeance, and a prince who is not what he seems. Under the silks of her troops' tent, Illyria dances with fire. She disguises her gift as showmanship, but longs for answers about why she has a power no one else possesses. Somewhere in the city of never-ending night, Prince Cal is looking for a girl who burns the brightest, only she can't stop the horror inflicted on his kingdom. But a sadistic lord who controls the mind of his victims. By a sadistic lord who controls the minds of his victims. While Cal spies Illyria, he knows without a doubt that she is the most beautiful, dangerous thing he has ever seen. More importantly, she's the fire draken he has been waiting his whole life to find. Oh my god. Moments after Cal enters Illyria's life, a loved one's gruesome death sets her on the path of vengeance. Cal will do anything to protect his people, including lying to Illyria about who he really is, and promises her the answers that she seeks. But if Illyria trusts the undeniable spark between them, could it turn out to be one fire she is unable to tame? This is love at first sight. He falls first. Slow burn. Slow burn. It's perfect. I think these books are perfect. The story is cool. Their powers are cool. It is adult romantasy. And it's not... Oh, I don't know if I want to say that. It's dragons, but in like a few different ways. And they're kind of like, they're elemental benders, kind of. Like, yes, but they also have other powers. The end of the first book left us like, okay, I have to read the second. I started reading it like right away. The second book left us on the biggest cliffhanger. I was like, wait. I thought this was a duology. It's a trilogy. At least I think it's going to be just a trilogy. I have to know what happens. It was such a big cliffhanger. I love these books. These are definitely books I can see myself rereading. They were so fun, and I don't understand why these don't have hype, or maybe they just don't have the hype yet. But she is a romance author, and I think these are her first like fantasy books. Like these, I think this is her fantasy romance debut, and they're really, really good. I highly recommend if you're into romantasy. There are even cool like pictures in here. It's dual POVs. We're following Cal and Illyria, and they're really good. I feel like I could just keep saying they're really, really good. The next book I read because I saw this book on Catherine Kara's video, and I just thought it was such a pretty book, and the concept seemed cool. This is urban fantasy. This is Wren in the Holly Library. I remember blogging when I read this. I gave this 4 stars. I do think there are flaws in this book. I do like the urban fantasy. I really like the concept of this book. I will continue to read. I annotated this, not with tabs because I didn't want to like put tabs on this sprayed edge, but I wrote and drew in this book. I had a good time. This was a fun read. We're following our character Kierce, who is in a world in the future where there are monsters, there are vampires, werewolves, all of those like ghouls and all that. They're now in New York. I think they're all over the world, but in New York, and there's this like law that if a human messes with a monster, the monster can kill them. That's like the law. But right now they're coexisting happily, I guess. But this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. I just think that there are things about the book that I would change. Some of the lines were corny. I think the end was kind of corny. I think it could have been better. And the synopsis is so long. But, okay, our character's a thief, and this monster needs her to steal something for him, and she learns her power. He's a morally great character. There are a lot of morally great characters in this book. It is romance, but it's not slow burn. I remember now. It's like, it was so fast. It's like, in these books, they like, especially like him, like he loved her. Like, loved her. You didn't feel the love between these characters. You just felt like, okay, sure. Romance with no love. That's how I felt, and I didn't like it. And I didn't like that it was not a slow burn. It was such a fast burn. Might be a spoiler. I don't know. But I'm thinking we might be having a Tamlin Rhysand situation. I think, but I don't know. I will read the next book, but I did have issues with it. The next book that I read, I knew I was gonna love it. How could you not? It's Killer Mermaids, and they're trapped at sea. I read Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I do want to read more of Mira Grant's books because I read, oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called, but it was about zombies. Oh my gosh, I think about that book a lot, but I wanted to read this book. This is Killer Mermaids. This group of scientists are going to this place in the ocean where a ship went missing, and they're going to try to prove that mermaids were the cause. The ship that sank had proof, like video footage, but people just said, it's fake. Anyone could make it look like that. Like you could digitally do that, whatever. So they're going to prove that that's what actually occurred in that area, that mermaids took that ship down. It is gross. It's so fast-paced and interesting, and it was really good. I thought it was good, and I've never read like mermaid horror or a lot of like ocean horror, which I'm really interested in reading. There's one by Darcy Coates that I had to leave because I didn't have, my bag already weighed too much when I moved here, but I want to read more like you're trapped at sea and things are trying to eat you. I liked it a lot. I gave it 5 stars, and I want to read more Mira Grant. The next 2 books are Jennifer L. Armentrout. I read Rage and Ruin and Storm and Fury. I have such mixed feelings about this series because out of the Jennifer L. Armentrout books that I've read, these 2 are my favorite. I was really excited after I finished the first, and I wanted to read the second. But again, she just took it too far, but not with the romance. It was weird. I'm going to read the back. Okay, I'm going to read the back of the first book. I accidentally read the back of the second book. That totally spoiled things, so. 18-year-old Trinity Marrow may be going blind, but she can see and communicate with ghosts and spirits. Her gift is the reason she's been hiding for years in a compound guarded by wardens, shapeshifters who protect mankind from demons. If the demons discover the truth about Trinity, they'll devour her enhance their powers. When wardens from another clan arrive with reports of something killing both demons and wardens, Trinity world implodes. Not the least because of one of the outsiders, the most annoying and fascinating person she's ever met. Zane has secrets of his own, but working together becomes imperative once demons branch the compound and Trinity's secrets comes to light. To save her family and maybe the world, she'll have to trust Zane, but all bets are off as a supernatural war unleashes. I think this is the best story Like the best plot that I've read from her so far. I really like Trinity. She's my favorite character of the month because I could relate with her so much. Not the going blind part, that is a whole other thing. Jennifer L. Armentrout actually has the same eye condition that she gave Trinity. So I thought that was really interesting, and she wrote about it at the back of the first or second book, that it's a condition that she feels is not well known, and she wants to bring awareness to it, and it's something that she has, and she will eventually go blind. I thought it was so interesting, and learning about her condition, Trinity has to tell people things that she can't see or things that are blurry, or she doesn't want to be an inconvenience to people and stuff like that. I thought it was really, really interesting, and it was a condition that you get I think Jennifer L. Armentrout, don't quote me on this, but I think she said she got it when she's 30. That's when it started to really become apparent that she had this eye condition. But it's angels, demons, gargoyles. I thought the gargoyles were really cool. The story's really exciting, and we really like Trinity. She's also really clumsy and dorky and questions things that she says, and she'll feel that she's super awkward. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I am Trinity. I really, really liked her. However, this is my issue, which I don't think might be an issue with a lot of people. But some of the things with the demons and the archangels are things that I don't believe. She took it a little too far. I've read books with demons and angels, stuff like that, but some things towards the end of the second book, I was like, this just doesn't feel right to read. And it's just my beliefs. It took a turn I did not like, or I guess it wasn't really a turn. I guess it was just kind of a slow progression of I don't know how to describe it, but just with my beliefs and some things that angels and demons were doing, I didn't want to read about. So for that reason, I will not be continuing this series, which is a shame because I do think that this is a really good series. Now, that might not be an issue for you, and if you like gargoyles and angels and demons and good versus evil, and it's a good, interesting read, and I really liked them, but I'm just not going to continue it for certain reasons. Not because she took the romance too far. I actually think the romance in these books was done tastefully, but yeah, I don't remember the ratings that I gave those. I gave Storm and Fury 4 stars, and then Rage and Ruin 3, and it would have been a 4, but because of that, I took a star off. The last book that I read that I was so excited to read was Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. I mean, look at this cover. I love when colors have this lime green. It's a beautiful cover. This is not my favorite Riley Sager. In fact, this might be one of my least favorite Riley Sagers, but I have now read all of them. As of August this month, I've read every Riley Sager. I love Riley Sager, but I did not like this book. This book felt very slow, and it was a book that I just wanted to get through it. And that's how I felt about The Last Time I Lied. I think that's the one where they're at camp by Riley Sager. I didn't like, they felt very similar, but I think that the plot was better in that one. So this book was going a certain direction that was interesting, and I was like, okay, that I'm on board with that. And then it took a turn, a different direction, and I think my opinion from what I've seen on YouTube is that no one liked that turn, that it went downhill. And I was like, wait, you were going somewhere cool, and then you made it so anticlimactic. I was just like, oh, okay. And I know that this book did not get stellar reviews. I know a lot of people had issues with this book. So Riley Sager, give us another Across the Lake. The House Across the Lake. Give us another one of those. Or Final Girls. Like, oh, those are so good. Oh, what's the other one? Hold on. Oh my gosh, my computer's about to die. The one in New York. I know a lot of these take Riley Sager's books. Actually, what's cool is that other Riley Sager books are mentioned in this book. I thought that was cool. I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna have a Riley Sager like shrine whenever my books and shelves and everything is with me. And I do like this hardcover, but it just wasn't my favorite Riley Sager, and I want him to write another one already and give us a better book. Okay, my mic is dead. My computer's dead. So the audio right now is gonna suck. I'm sorry. But to finish my like wrap up of the month, my favorite character was Trinity. My favorite book was for sure Sun Serpent. And for reread, I know I will reread these. For rewrite, okay. The book I would rewrite is Rage and Ruin. And I would make it, oh my God. I really don't know how to say this, but I would change the end. Some of it is just very unbiblical. There we go. It's unbiblical, and like I said, that might not be an issue for like 99% of the people, but just for me, some of the things that were in this book, I was like, that doesn't align with things that I believe. It just felt wrong, and that's what I would change in this book. I would just make it more about the gargoyles and change some of the stuff with the demons and the archangels. That's what I would rewrite in this book. Or yeah, I would rewrite this book. Burn. I would burn The Roses of May. No one needs to read that book. It was so bad. And I'm reconsidering my rating of that book to a 2. Yeah, that's the book I would burn. I hope you enjoyed my July reads. I'm reading a lot of books in August as well, so I'm really looking forward to my August wrap up and reading so many more books than I have been in the past. And I'm hoping to surpass 12 books. I wanna read more than that. If you are still watching and you don't know what to comment down below, is there a mermaid emoji? I'm almost certain there is. You can comment a mermaid emoji for Into the Drowning Deep down below. I would appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.